that was nice is we lived fairly close to a church that offered a parents' day out / preschool type thing. So we were able to put her in that, and it was just like 4 hours a day or something like that. And Sam was able to just walk her up to it, drop her off, and then walk back home. So she got to experience that, which was, you know, a nice socialization thing and early learning thing. And he also got a little bit of a break. We did that 2 years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was something too that, you know, you have low vision and you're thinking about starting a family, really consider the location that you decide to live in. If you buy a home or live in an apartment, whatever you do, really consider the location and what is within walking distance, because that made a huge difference in your quality of life during those early years, for sure.
Yeah, because we, like I said, we could walk up to the mall and she could go play, and, you know, I could get out and get out of the house, and because it get a little stir crazy.
Yeah.
when the only person you have to talk to all day is you know,
baby.
3. But that comes in, leads us into some of the other questions people had about kind of the downside of parenting with low vision, and some of the things I had to deal with and overcome were like taking her to the play area, and there's 30 kids in this play area, and as soon as she goes in, I can't tell which one she is.
Yeah.
So what I would do is, you know, of course, I would just memorize what she's wearing, especially if it was, you know, you could put her into bright colors. Clothing really helps. And just try and be vigilant and try and track her through the crowd. Find out what section she's in. Look for that color of clothing.
Yeah, when you have low vision and you can't really go to the mall play area, you put your kid in there and then get on your phone.
No.
Because they're gone, and it's gonna be very difficult to find them, especially when they're really young, that they're maybe not gonna answer their name as easily or search you out or come when called.
Yeah.
And stuff. And I think at a larger playground, you'd almost have to follow her around.
Oh yeah.
In the play area. Once she was old enough even to possibly go on her own, he would have to kind of follow her around so that he didn't lose her within the play structure. Other things that have been a challenge, something we've mentioned in a past, or you've mentioned in a past video, is when Skylar has had, and Jacob have had events at their school or dance recitals or those types of things where you sit in an audience. Don't be afraid to say something to the teacher beforehand. They would just, you know, save 2 seats up front for us. Not a big deal. It's not putting everyone else out that much, but so he could actually see her or him and experience it. And something else that I would encourage people is Sam's son Jacob. He's played some sports. He played lacrosse and football, and go to the games even if you can't really see your child out on the field, because Sam often couldn't. I mean, they all look the same in the uniform. They're moving around too fast for him to track with binoculars. But I know Jacob appreciated looking out and seeing him there. So showing your support is the important part of it. So I would encourage that, even though I know there were times it was frustrating for Sam because he was just kind of sitting there staring off into space. And it's still that way with marching band.
Yeah.
I love the marching band competitions. I'm glad we're there watching, but for Sam it gets old because he can't really see Jacob. We kind of luck out because he's in the pit, so he doesn't move around as much. So if we can get him in there on the binoculars, Sam actually can watch him for a little while. But
yeah, but that is, you know, of course, take a pair of binoculars or a monocular to all these events. It really helps. The marching band, though, yeah, like you said, I can watch him and that's fine. But marching band, it's such a overall visual thing. So when you're looking through binoculars, you're only focused on a small section of that field, so that does make it tough. But you're right, it's more that my presence there for Jacob or for Skylar, not, you know, so much for me. Yeah, that's a good point. And there's a lot of difficult things about having low vision and being a parent. You know, just the little things like I can't see my kids' facial expressions. Which is a good thing or a bad thing for most of the time, but it's also a good thing because my daughter can roll the eyes apparently.
Yes.
So it's a good thing I don't see that.
Yeah, she can give some facial expressions that it's just better off you not even see. I see them and it's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, but
So.
I would, of course, I would rather see them. But and then another, there's also the issue of homework. Someone asked about helping with homework, and it's very difficult. I can do it, if I say, okay, what's the problem? You got to read it out to me, and she has to read out the whole problem, and you have to try and remember every part of that problem. You can't just look down at it. And if it's like multiple parts to a problem, I can't do it, because you can't try and keep all that in your memory and figure it out at the same time. So it is difficult. Rachel ends up helping a lot with the homework.
Yeah, but he does supervise it in a way of, she gets home I'm not home yet when she gets home from school. He's home. So when she gets home, gets her a snack, he gets her started on her homework, and
keeps her on task.
And that helps me out, because then when I get home, she has done the parts of the homework that she doesn't need any help with, which sometimes is all of her homework.
Yeah.
It's not like she always needs help. And then, then she can come to me and just say, hey, I don't understand this one part. And she will go to him first. And sometimes you guys get it worked out on your own, and sometimes not.
And a lot of time for her, it's her just reading it out loud and trying to work through it. I don't even have to give her the answer.
Yeah.
She figures it out while we're trying to work through the problem.
Yeah,
so.
Which is good, because you really shouldn't give her the answer. But yeah, sometimes her just reading through it and explaining it to Sam is enough for her to figure it out for herself. Sometimes that's all she really needed, was someone to talk it through with. So, and this is hopping back in topic, but him not being able to see facial expressions, one thing that I would suggest for that, if you're just low vision, not obviously if you're completely blind, this isn't going to help, but if you're just low vision, make sure you take lots of video, because you can watch that almost immediately after nowadays, but you can watch it on a big screen so you don't completely miss that, so you still get the reactions on your child's face and the funny faces your kid makes, and the things that are personal to that child. You can still see them. Just make sure you take lots of video along the way so that you can see those. Plus, it's just fun later, because I saw them the first time, but she's 10 years old now. We look at something from when she was 2, and it's like, oh, I forgot she used to do that. So I would just encourage you to take lots of video and pictures so that you can experience that, even if it's not right in the moment, that you can still experience it.
And what I do is I will even just have the camera going on my phone, and I will zoom in, and I'll just sit there and watch her. Not even recording, but just watch her, or watch Rachel, or watch the dog. And just because I can't see them like that anytime other than right then, so it's actually really fun for me to do that. And then of course she'll look over and catch me. She's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Nothing."
I'm just creepily watching you.
I'm just staring at you, because you can actually see the expressions and stuff that way, and it's interesting to me. I enjoy that.
Well, I'm glad.